No,
I should
what?
be hearable.
You are hopefully audible. Good evening, everybody. That's more for the YouTube people than anyone else, but good evening. Welcome to what should be an interesting evening. Tom, are you still making large holes in the countryside? Ooh. Come back to us, Tom. Come back to us. There you are. You still making giant? You still making giant holes in the countryside? Yes, yes, you do.
Yeah, I'm still making giant holes. Oh, I'm stuck.
Don't get stuck.
Ooh. Ooh. Oh, don't do that. That one.
Right then.
And do that one. There we go. There we go. I should now.
You made it safe now. Oh yeah,
I think it's still catching up.
I'm thinking your internet connection may not be particularly happy, Tom. Because you currently have a ping of 586. Which is...
Oh, what the frick?
Right.
Where am I?
Your ping, Tom, your latency to my game is hideous. So, yeah, you are getting some extreme connection problems, Tom.
Yep, it's probably because little one's still watching YouTube.
Yeah, your ping at the moment is 582.
Yeah, I can't hear a word of what you're
saying. Yeah, it's worse than most transatlantic connections.
Oh dear.
I have had better connection to American servers than that.
yeah. It should be getting better soon because Avery's going to bed.
Cool, fair enough. Well, if you need to disappear for your fatherly duties, do feel free to do so.
Yeah, I'll let you know before I go. Oh my god,
Cool.
Come on!
Right. So, what I will do, in the meantime, is start our future expansion project. So we're obviously shooting for space. That is the goal this time. We want to go to space.
Want to go to space? I still want to use
space is the thing that needs to happen. We can look at that. We can see how possible that is. I have no problem with that.
Oh, come on. Right, we're in full creative at the moment, aren't we?
We are indeed in full creative. That is the plan for this evening, is to do a little bit of creative testing.
Where's me? I'm not sure.
What I would say is if you're going to mess about with your bike, I would take a copy of it and work on the copy, just in case you kablooey it.
I missed that. Sorry.
I said take.
Who?
Yeah, take. I would suggest you take a copy of your bike rather than working on the original.
Are you doing it on purpose now?
Doing what on purpose?
Okay, I don't know how to make a copy of it.
Right, give me a second. I shall come and show you.
It's my... I tell you what, I need internet.
Alright.
Are you still there?
I am still here.
Okay, did you hear me?
I did hear you.
I tell
Right,
you, that's
that-
no.
I heard you, Tom. I heard you.
Okay, I'm gonna log out. I'm gonna stick myself somehow in the cryo chamber. I'm gonna reset my internet.
Yep.
I'll be back in a minute.
Go for it. Good luck.
Thank you. Come on.
You're in the cryo
There we
chamber at
go.
my end.
Right. Be right back.
See you, Tom. Speak to you in a moment. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what horrible, horrible ping looks like. Right. Back to what I was creating over here. So, plan for tonight is, assuming that Tom's internet decides that it's going to actually let him play tonight, we are attempting to design an orbiter, a reusable ship that we can take to and from space, because we are in need of space resources. That is what we need right now, is resources from the space. So, what I'm doing here is just doing a bit of prep work so that we have somewhere to put our launch platform. Because I do want Tom to do most of the design work for this. I want this very much to be Tom's design. So I am going to guide and assist, but I want him to do most of the actual design work for this. So I am just going to sit here testing some design work myself for what we can do with the base. So yeah, we'll just wait for Tom to rejoin us in chat while he's there we go. Give ourselves a bit of headroom coming through here. And half right, half left, grated, straight, there we go. Right, we then want corner. And you know what? I'm gonna put just a wall on there, just in case we end up expanding that further. So we'll have that, and then just for fun, or do we just put a railing down it? I think we just put railings. There we go. So everything I'm building in yellow here is temporary construction, just for us testing things. It's just to give mainly you guys watching a bit of a guide as to what we're getting up to. Right, Tom is apparently back, so let us re-invite and re-invite. There we go. Hopefully we should get a Tom back in just a moment. Ah, there's a Tom. I can indeed hear you, Tom. That is a very good question. Fingers crossed. Oh no.
See if that makes a difference.
Fingers crossed.
Oh, I can just about hear me. I'm really
Excellent.
broken up there. It could be my connection to my... It could be...
Well, your ping is down to 130. It was at 580.
Is that good?
Yeah, low numbers is better for ping.
Yes, I think I'm good enough now.
Ping is basically your delay.
Cool.
So high ping means high delay.
Well, I haven't got the rubber band in at all now, which is nice.
You shouldn't, no. You've now got the same ping that we get for our London-based server, rather than when I was connecting to a Washington-based server.
Oh. Well, that's nice. Oh,
So,
we have a thingy.
yes, I've been busy in your absence. Anything that's in this sort of mustard yellow is stuff that I'm adding during this creative session, just testing some ideas out.
Is it bad?
So,
I really like
I
it in this
figured-
yellow.
Oh, God.
Maybe some feel
But anyway,
think it's like very Metal Gear Solid for some reason.
there is an element of that, I suppose. Right, so this was what I was considering us using as our launch pad,
Oh, okay.
at least for design work. If you want, this can be either for your final ship that we end up building,
Yeah.
or for your little orbiter that we're building now. I'm thinking we have this as the launch pad.
Okay. Makes sense.
Because, let's be honest, the last thing we want to do is crash a spaceship into the base.
Yeah, no, we don't want to do that.
So if we're aiming for the other side of a mountain at very least, we've got half a chance of missing.
Yeah, half a chance.
Hey, it's me and you flying. It's only going to ever be half a chance of whatever.
Ah, be fine. I won't crash a ship like that. Maybe.
It very much depends on when Space Engineers decides that you're going to crash. So, anyway. So, what we can do is we can use this as our testing and construction area for tonight.
Yep.
Anyway. So, I'm just going to make the pad a little bit larger. Now, you were saying beforehand that you didn't know how to copy a build.
No, I don't.
Right. So, time to do something we haven't done for a while, Tom. And that's me teach you a new thing.
I've
We've been
talking
using more or
things
less...
every single week. I don't have a clue how to do this.
Yeah, true.
I'm making this
True.
up as I go along.
Right. Excellent. So, that's your bike.
Which one? This one.
The one that was right in front of you. That
Excellent.
is your one.
That is my one.
If you look at your bike, so your crosshair is on it,
Yep.
and click in your right thumbstick,
Yep.
you will have probably quick actions as your current thing.
I have menu.
Let's say at the top. Ah, well, if you have me and you, if you go left one, you will see you have blueprint.
Blueprint actions, yep.
And at the top of that is copy.
Copy grid. Okay.
And you now have a copy of your bike.
That's clever.
And if you hit the right trigger, it will paste it, as long as you have a green box.
Can I move it further away from me?
You can, if you hold left shoulder, up and down on the D-pad will move it away from you.
That's better. Okay, let's move it around to the launch pad.
Yep.
Okay. How do I place it?
Right trigger.
Pasted
There'll
chip
be a green
contains some
outline,
blocks that are part of a DLC you don't own. These blocks will not be pasted.
I was frightened for that. Yeah, I've just pasted you a copy.
Okay.
It's
Cancel.
because there's DLC. What DLC blocks are on that thing? Oh, it must be the fighter cockpit or something stupid. The only thing I can think of that's a DLC block is the fighter cockpit.
Yeah, because I don't think I've got that fighter cockpit.
Oh,
I've
right.
tried building it before.
Well, I at least know what I'm getting you for your birthday now is the DLC pack. Anyway.
Right. Okay. If I remove these wheels,
If you're going to do that, I would suggest jacking it up on its pistons first, otherwise it will fall on the floor and be a real pain to work with.
or even with these thingies,
Potentially. Do you want me to put it up on the flat surface for you?
that would be better. Flat surface would be better.
There you go.
Hey! It sits on one of those anyway when you do it, so
True, true.
let's see what happens if I cut one of these wheels off. Well, that's alright. It's alright. Hasn't died.
Always a bonus.
And there we go.
There we go. Now it doesn't look like our platform is floating quite as much as it was.
I suppose given that I don't need the things that connect to the wheels, if I do
No, you don't need the suspension, but I believe the suspension may be mildly structural. So, be prepared for stuff to fall off.
Let's give it a try. Let's give it a try.
You can just delete stuff, you know, Tom.
I don't know that. How do I do that?
Right, if you have a block out, so just get an armour block out, for example, something nice and small. Ah, hello there, Dovahkiin. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are teaching Tom creative mode again, because we are preparing for space launch. Right, so yeah, just get a small armour block out.
How do I make it smaller?
Look at your bike. Put your crosshair on the bike and it should automatically switch.
Oh, okay.
If it doesn't, it's left bumper and X.
Left bumper.
We'll change it between small and large grid.
Okay.
Right, so right trigger places, left trigger deletes.
Hey, gone. This doesn't fall over.
There you are. It still has not fallen over. Hey, Panzer!
Dovahkiin and Panzer. Awesome. Here goes Hayden.
We have indeed. It's the regulars. How you doing, guys?
Did I delete something that I should
Yes.
have deleted?
It's fine, I keep filling in the holes in the floor, you're all good.
Yes,
Yes, Panzer! You deleted part of the yellow floor, Tom. It's all fine, just
Did I?
keep going. I put it back.
Okay. Right, I've taken...
Right. So, Tom is currently modifying his attack bike into a space shuttle.
Yep.
That is apparently also going to do some mining for us while it's up there. This should be interesting, as they say.
I don't know how I'm going to make it work, but I have ideas.
I'm looking forward to seeing how you're going to get enough fuel to get it into orbit.
Well, I don't know about that. I don't think about that side of things.
No, I know you
I'm
don't.
an ideas kind of guy, not a make it work kind of guy.
So, guys, as you may have guessed, Tom is able to see chat this week. Or at least I hope he is.
Yeah, I can see chat. I can see chat last
So
week.
if you have,
I wasn't as concentrating too much.
so if you have any suggestions for Tom as part of his construction work, please feel free to drop them in chat, and he can use or ignore them as he sees fit. Right. What we've decided, Panzer, is that we want a reusable craft to go to and from orbit to get uranium and platinum. Because we don't want to move wholesale to space right now. That is the only reason. It's not a case of that's the easy way of doing it. That's the way we're choosing to do it. Yeah, so we need a miner. That's what it's going to be. The only reason I'm calling it an orbiter is because it comes back down again.
Right.
That is unfortunately too much of me and actual space stuff. Anything that goes up and comes down again is an orbiter.
Okay.
But yeah, what we're building is a mining craft. That's what we're aiming for. This is not going to be one of my strange cargo carrying things that's modular and all the rest of it. This is purely a miner.
Right. Okay. I'm thinking big thing here at the back for fuel,
Right?
and then engines.
Okay.
Needs engines to make it fly.
Yes. You'll want atmospheric to get you part of the way there, and you will need hydrogen once you're in space.
Right. Okay. So, what kind of thing do I need for big storage?
Right, so
For
you've
fuel?
already got a medium cargo container on there.
Yep.
So that's alright, because you've got two types of storage you've got to fit in. You've got to fit in materials once you're up there mining, and you've got to fit hydrogen in for your trip up there.
Yeah.
Trip back down, not so much of a problem if you've got decent atmospheric thrust, but we'll cross that bridge in a minute. In terms of hydrogen storage, you've got two ways of doing it.
Yep.
You can either... yeah, we'll just drop them on the floor. You have got the large hydrogen tank,
Yep.
or the small hydrogen tank.
I like the large one.
Yeah, we can't get platinum until we get to space, Panzer. That is just not a thing on Pertam.
That's where we need to go.
I'll
to
deal
space.
with this.
It's rolling away.
Yeah, that is...
Ready,
Yeah,
ready,
it'll
ready.
keep rolling, it'll be fine.
Bonk.
There we go.
Ready.
You can't fall any further. But yeah, so... Normally, Panzer, I would say... Get up to speed with Atmo, slingshot across the barrier where you technically need hydrogen, and then let Ion carry you the rest of the way. But yeah, we do not have platinum, so... We don't have uranium either, so we've got to power this thing with hydrogen engines, solar panels, or just lots of batteries. But yeah, so that's your two tank sizes there, Tom.
I like the big one because I think the big one will sit quite nicely at the back there. I think. Where is
Well,
it? Where is it?
I've just put it back on the pad.
Can I pick it up?
You shouldn't need to pick it up. You can just grab it out of your block menu.
Okay, so where is it in my block menu?
It's under gas and logistics,
Gas and logistics.
and it's at the 1 o'clock position under the oxygen tank.
Oxygen tank. Another one. Hydrogen tank, was it?
Yep. Now the little tanks hold 7,500 litres of hydrogen. The big tanks
That's a lot
Hold-
bigger than your one.
250,000. You might have the large grid version.
Wait, you just told me how to do this. How do I do this? How do I do this? That one and that one. No,
They do look the same.
no, that one. No.
Y-
What button
Left
did I
bumper
press
and
to change
X.
the size? Left bumper and X.
Left bumper and X.
That the same one? No, they're still huge. What? Why does it keep changing the size of it? What's it doing?
If you look at the floor, because it's large grid, it thinks you're trying to place it on a large block, so it automatically switches.
Right.
Right, the first thing I can see is you're going to have to either extend that conveyor out or get rid of the blocks above,
Why is that?
because
It doesn't
your
line up,
hydrogen
doesn't it?
tank is bigger than the hole you've got.
Okay.
My suggestion, and feel free to say no to this, is to put that in place,
Yeah, put that there.
because that will give you some more cargo connections, because you're gonna need sideways thrust.
Yep.
And forward thrust, and up and down thrust when you're in space.
Okay. Well, I like that.
You should be able to stick the large hydro tank on the back of that. That's an oxygen tank.
Oh, for Pete's sake.
You do need one, but that is an oxygen tank.
Yeah, that's not where I want it.
Hey Karasa, yeah, no worries, feel free to lurk for as long as necessary. How did the Minecrafting go? I had to duck out of that because of a phone call, so it looked like you were having fun. The jump scares seem to be coming thick and fast, which is, you know, standard Minecraft.
Is that touching? You can't
I
see.
can't tell.
You can't tell, can you?
No. That's perfectly lined up.
Cool. Excellent. Right.
This thing is gonna be interesting when you finished with it.
Why are you saying that? Right.
No, I'm just looking at the design of it and going, yeah, this is gonna look interesting. Right, while you're doing that, I'm gonna do something far less productive.
Okay. What are you doing?
Absolutely nothing you need to worry about. Just yell if you want a hand with something.
I need a hand with something because I don't know what to do next.
Right, okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
I need an engine. I want a big space engine to go in the middle.
Right, so you want hydrogen thrusters, if that's what you want for going up and down.
I want for flying in space. So not atmospheric.
Flying in space, you want hydrogen.
Okay.
Because we cannot build ion yet, so you need hydrogen for in space and atmospheric for getting up there. Cool. Yeah, glad you're having fun with Minecraft, Karasa.
Large
At some point I will
thruster.
actually find out if my laptop still runs it. Right, you're looking for your hydrogen thrusters.
I've got hydrogen thrusters. Oh,
Cool.
there we go. I want it to be bigger. How do I make it bigger?
There are only two sizes of hydrogen thrusters, small and large.
Well, it's not a big enough engine. No, maybe put a big one. I want that size, the big one. How do I make it really big? Left bumper and
push
X.
up.
No, where'd it go?
Left bumper and X changes between small and large grid, not small and large engine.
Why are you left bumper? I know it's further away. How do I make it to be so it's like on the bigger grid? So I've got a massive one.
You can't. You cannot mix large and small grid. Small grid have to have small grid engines. Which means that the biggest one you can get is that one.
No, that's not going to make it look like how I want it to look like.
Well, that's the largest one you're going to fit on it.
Fine. You can go there for now. And then I can connect them
Now, my
sideways,
question
can't I?
is, has anyone in chat figured out what insanity I'm currently trying to build?
There.
And I used insanity correctly because I've not actually built one of these. I know the theory behind them, but I've not built one myself. So this could be interesting.
What engine is that?
That's the atmospheric engine, but that's the DLC
Ooh,
atmospheric
that's
engine.
pretty. Okay.
He could rotor. That is a very good point, Panzer.
I could rotor?
Do we introduce Tom to the Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
okay.
I'm all for insanity. What's the rotor?
Right, okay. Right, so if you go all the way to Advanced Systems.
Systems?
Thank you, Pans. I had forgotten that. At your 7 o'clock, you have got rotors.
Yes.
If you select that group, and what you are looking for, you want to take your thruster off the back. I'll get that for you. Right. What you are looking for is the advanced rotor.
Advanced rotor. Okay.
Hey, Panzer, I'm blaming you for this one if this goes wrong. Right, attach the advanced rotor to the back of your ship.
It's tiny.
Oh, I've just realised this is going to get
Okay.
very silly very quickly.
Like that?
Right. Yeah, perfect. What we now do is we chop the rotor head off.
Right.
Like so. Because what we can now do, and fitting this onto your ship is going to be a comedy of errors, but we're going to go with it. Because what we are going to need to do is build a little catch platform. If I come out here, and then let's build a little platform we can chop off in a minute. You'll see why I'm doing this in a second, guys. Hansa probably knows why I'm doing this, as he's the lunatic that suggested it. Yeah, I know he'll have to use. Yeah, I know he'll have to use an override, but that just gives me more chance to teach Tom weird stuff in Space Engineers, so it's all good.
It's not going to sink in.
Hmm?
That's anything like that is really not going to sink in. At the moment, this is like Lego Technic, right? If we're going to put it into a scale of things. Yeah, I'm still thinking Jubilo.
No, don't worry, Tom. This is I can set this up so that it's nice and easy for you. But first I want to show you what's possible and make you decide you want it.
Make me decide I want it. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So we'll drop one of those into the world.
Just dropped it.
That, yep, that is a rotor head in large grid.
Okay.
We can make that attach to this.
Can we?
Yes. Which means, if you wouldn't mind stepping out the way for a second, sir.
Yep. Just step me out the way.
If I cut that and paste it, because we're going to need a bit more room. I had forgotten how big this thing is. Which means we can attach one of those.
Does that mean I can have my big engine?
Potentially, yes. I mean, what would be a little bit more sane is we could just attach the slightly bigger engine.
Oh, okay. I'm sure now. Do I want the stupid big one? Or that one?
What I will warn you is, you are going to need fuel for these massive thrusters.
Okay,
Because
stick with
really
that
big
one then.
thruster means really big fuel consumption.
Okay, we'll stick with that
Okay?
one then.
Right, okay. Now for the fun bit. Making them line up. Because what we need to do... Stop snapping to grid, please, game. Thank you. So what we need to do is get this into such a position... Oh, it's going to keep tipping, isn't it? Right, okay.
I'm confused.
Cool. Cheers, Panzer. Hopefully Tom's got that message. Enjoy your refitting. Right, so
I need help
what
to
we're
move
doing, Tom...
back the pair of wheel arms back. Or an extra pair of legs.
Basically, yeah, basically what were your rear stabilisers? He's saying move them back or add another pair.
Oh yeah, no,
further back.
I know it's going to be more.
Cool.
I'm trying to
Right.
figure out whether
So
actually what I'm going to do is build this as a vertical takeoff. But then the problem is when you land, how do you get it back to vertical again?
There is also that problem. Right. There are so many problems with this idea. Right, and it's glorious. Basically, what we need to do is tip this over.
How do we tip it?
Very carefully.
Oh, I can't
Because
do.
the problem... No, you can't. I'm really hoping this is going to work. What I would normally do is get a vehicle to manipulate this in. I think with a landing gear, but we don't have that right now.
Oh,
Ooh, 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 ooh. Nearly. So very nearly.
okay. Thank you.
Damn, this is going to be hilarious. Right. So what we now need to do...
Thank you.
Of course, none of your wheels have any power at all. Okay,
think
I'm
those
doubting
will.
it, but... No. Rotor? I doubt this is going to be close enough, but we'll give it a try. No, didn't think so. Right, so basically what we need to do is, you see this silver plug sticking out the rotor head?
Yeah.
We need to get that inside the rotor.
Oh, Christ. No, this is turning way too complicated. Go back to what I was doing originally.
Okay, cool.
That's going to be too much like artwork. Can't
Fair
do
enough,
that.
so... Go back to your original then.
Normal thrusters on there.
Standard engineering. I will remove the extra abomination that I added to the back of your vehicle.
It's the large hydrogen thruster, wasn't it?
It is indeed the large hydrogen thruster that you're after. And I will go back to the craziness that I'm creating.
Okay. And then those ones there.
So we've now got a little bit of balance.
So
A little
that's
bit of thrust.
that.
Let's...
So that's for me to fly in space.
bulk that out a bit.
Where do I find the atmospheric thrusters? Are they also in Ship Essentials?
They are on the... Yeah, they are also on Ship Essentials. All of your thrusters are in Ship Essentials at the bottom.
Are they iron? They're not iron thrusters, are they? There they are.
No, ions are the thing that we want, but can't build yet.
It's that way around, aren't they?
Right.
Oh my god, stop being so twitchy.
Just yell if you need a hand. Even if it's just a second hand putting stuff down, just yell. Because what I'm building over
think I need
here
to put something
is...
on No, like that. No, like that. That's... How... I need someone to stop this from falling over in a minute.
Okay. What are you about to do
Let's,
to it?
can I, if I put them...
If you're thinking of moving the back legs around,
won't let me place it.
don't forget you have got 4 pistons you can extend. If you want to jack this thing up off the ground.
Yeah, I may have to do that. Where are the pistons? Is it that one?
Oh, having said that, how many times have we replaced the pistons on your bike? That probably doesn't actually connect to any pistons anymore.
Oh, okay. I said none of the pistons have moved. V!
There you go. Now, if you want to securely attach it to the floor,
Yes.
what I would suggest is... Can we do... Oh, we're not going to be able to do it too high, we're only going to be able to do it 1 high. That's unfortunate. What I'm going to suggest is we get... too far. I'm too used to modded. Right. Did I just hear something go boom?
I thought I heard something.
Might have to go and find out what that was. I'm going to suggest that we put a landing gear
Pretty
there.
sure I turned the footage drills. Back in a second.
No, I've worked it out. Found it.
Yeah, it's all good.
It was a problem on the contraption I'm building.
Right.
I had attached a thruster upside down, so it's just melted its way through a piston. All is good.
Oh, okay. Oh. God, it's getting laggy again.
Your ping is rapidly climbing. Right, these probably aren't helping, so let me get rid of your 2 floating little tanks. You can now, by the way, because that's landing gear locked, you can actually retract those pistons if you needed to. Just to get it out of the way, but it's
I might
entirely up
leave
to
it
you.
like that for the minute, just in case.
Okie doke, no problem.
Right, I want...
Right. Oh dear. Oh, this is a singularly bad idea.
Oh my god! Stop it.
You having fun there?
No, I keep rubber banding everywhere. I don't know whether I'm actually removing the things I'm meant to remove.
Okay. Would you like me to tidy up the bits on the floor for you?
Oh, there's bits over there as well, isn't there? They're not connected anymore. Right. There's enough room to place this under here.
Oh lordy.
Possibly if I stop bloody rubber banding everywhere. Nope, I can't place it. Why can't I place it? Just not enough room.
What are you trying to place?
Another one of those engines on the underside.
Oh, the Atmos.
Yeah.
Yeah, you won't. You might not have enough room. However, let me create you a grease pit.
Well, it's not going to help because that's the lowest point it goes anyway. So if it's too low, I'm just going to break stuff.
Well, see how low it is.
Stop rubber banding. Painless. Oh, fuck, I did all day. Oh,
You just deleted the hydrogen tank.
I did.
Give us a sec, I got you.
I may have to ask you to build because I'm rubber
Okay.
banding all over the place. Because I
that.
can't place things properly.
Okay. You were going for that,
Yep.
and you wanted one down there. So at the minute, your rear landing gear would be the bottom of your lower atmospheric engine,
Right.
and that's with the pistons extended. So your front outriggers are well off the floor at this point.
Yeah.
So is that a no-go then?
That's going to be a no-go.
Okay.
I need... I don't really know. How many do I need for forward propulsion and upwards propulsion, I suppose? I've never done this before, so I don't...
I know you haven't. That is a lot of forward thrust for a ship this size.
Okay.
I would
just one
safely say
engine?
that is a lot.
Okay, that's good. I like a lot.
I know you do. In fact, that is enough. Let me just check something quickly. We've got an O2H2 generator on here. You may want to consider adding a second O2H2 generator at some point, because that will allow you to, if we find ice when we're up in space, that will actually allow you to refuel the hydrogen tanks in space while you're going.
Okay.
You will also need a way of connecting this thing to the base to fuel it and unload it.
I was thinking one of
you
those
will need-
hatches on the bottom.
You will need a connector either in that orientation or that orientation.
The top one. You'll see it down onto it.
Cool. So I'm guessing you're thinking there?
Where is it? Oh, yes.
Back here.
Yep.
Cool.
Excuse me.
So yeah, that's so in that case you are going to want atmospheric lift thrust to allow you to hover.
Yeah, that was good. I need up and down as well. I also don't have anything to make me go backwards.
No, you do not, and you'll need that for both hydrogen and... Basically, hydrogen you need all directions. Atmospheric you can get away with all directions except pointing downwards, so, you know, downward propulsion. Because gravity tends to do that for you.
Where's me atmospheric ones? There. So I won't need...
Something
They're quite
something to keep in mind with thrusters in this game. A large number of small-sized thrusters is usually more power efficient than one big thruster. So when you're looking at powered thrusters, so atmospherics and ions, a group of small atmo or ion thrusters is more power efficient than one big thruster.
Yep. See, I don't even know where to place these.
Well, that's you're gonna want some lift thrust. That's for certain. I mean, what you could do, hilariously, I've almost done it over on my silly contraption. What you can do, if I get the normal Atmo thrusters out, if you just cut back the half block armour, you can actually recess the little thrusters into the side, like that.
Where are you? There you are.
On yours. So
Oh,
you can
okay.
actually recess them into the armour like that. And then it's just a case of finding out how many of those lifting thrusters you're actually going to need. And the only way you're going to do that is by adding a few, seeing if it flies. If it doesn't, repeat.
Will that take off at the moment? Like, will that work, that thruster?
Yeah, they will all work.
Okay.
All I would say is you do not want to flight test this until you have at least one thruster in every direction.
Yep. Right, so fine.
Because, yeah, bad things may happen at that point.
And there. To put it there.
Yep.
Does that work? Right. So
Yep,
those
that'll
ones
work.
there.
Those work as long as they are connected to the grid somewhere.
Right. So if I... Hang on. What the fuck?
Oh. You just deleted the O2. Oh, you just deleted the medium cargo container.
Ah,
So all the stuff that was in it just explodified out.
which would be the ice.
Yes. Would you like me to put that back in for you?
If you could, please.
It needs to be up and down. Oh, is there something in there? Yes, there's something in there. There's lots of somethings in there. Plus side, you now know it's structurally sound enough that it won't fall apart if you lose that cargo container.
Oh, yeah. That's hot.
Right, there we go. Yeah, that's all back where it should be.
I didn't want to do that anyway, Fabio. I don't need downward station.
Well,
I need
you're
backwards.
gonna need it. You're gonna need it for landing onto the connector, aren't you?
But I need to blow it downwards, do I, you said?
What you
Or does it
don't
just make
need
life
is you
easier
don't.
to do that?
Right, what you don't need is you don't need thrusters pointing. Oh, it's not gonna let me snap it there, is it? You don't need thrusters pointing that way.
Yeah, downward. Sorry,
Yeah, so you don't need
blow me
those.
downwards.
Yes. Yeah, they are called downward thrusters in this, so you are right on that. I'm just making sure we were both talking the same thing.
Yeah.
So these ones are
The
fine.
opposite
These are your lift
direction to what
thrust.
those two are.
Yes. Yeah, you don't need those. Gravity will do that for you.
So when because at the moment, if I'm in jetpack mode, I press
Yep.
A and it takes me up. I
Yep.
press B and it takes
That's
me down.
what- Yep. So what would happen is if you hit B without any downward thrust, it would just
Yeah.
turn off the upward thrust.
Oh, okay.
Which obviously in space will do absolutely nothing for you,
Yep.
but in atmosphere you're fine, or gravity you're fine.
Right. So,
Can I make a suggestion on this rear Atmo thruster that you've put on?
yep.
It's blocking a cargo port that you might want to use for hydrogen thrust.
Oh, right, yep. You can get rid of that. I'm also eating as well now, so...
Yes, I had noticed. So we can either put it there, or somewhere else completely different.
Oh, it doesn't even have to be there. I put that one on to see what it looked like.
Ah, fair enough. So maybe... there?
Yeah?
And do you want that mirrored on the other side?
What do you mean, on the other side of the trip?
Yeah.
Yeah, was yours not doing it then?
Hmm?
Did your one's not doing it?
I've got mirror mode turned off.
One's doing it on mirror do. Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I've got the mirror mode option turned off at the moment. For what I was doing, I needed mirror mode turned off.
Right.
But I have now put it back on.
Right, do you think that's going to be enough for upwards at the moment?
Depends on how many drills you put on the front of it.
Okay.
It depends on what you do with the drills.
Oh, spider.
Yeah. Spider is dead. Are you just making sure?
Yeah.
Oh, he brought some construction components. How nice of him.
What the hell? My gun changed.
Oh, he brought some friends as well.
That's
Oh, yeah, because you're in creative, you've got access to all of the guns.
I get you. Oh, you killed that one. They get progressively bigger. Oh my god. Did I just fire?
A rocket. Oh dear, I didn't think it would take long for Tom to find the missile launcher.
They did nothing to the floor.
No, they don't. Unfortunately, we can't make those
That
yet.
one did.
Oh, there you go. You got a little dent out of that one.
That one made a hole
But
in
yeah,
the
we
floor.
can't make those because those missiles require uranium to build.
Okay.
So
Right. What do I do with this thing?
I mean, if you want to just give it a lift test, I would quickly whack a left and right atmospheric thruster on it. So you've got left and right control and a rearward braking atmo thruster somewhere. Doesn't have to be the permanent spot, just on the grid somewhere. And then you'll be able to take the landing gear off and see how well it flies or doesn't at this point.
Did that work there? For now? No, no. Right, anyway.
Where were you thinking? Just under the nose?
Why would it go green?
Atmospheric thrusters have weird snap points. Was that the sort of thing you were thinking?
Well, yeah, one of the nose. Just to put it on there.
Yeah, so you've got some on the nose and you want left and right.
Yeah.
So if we fix the damage on your yeah, we can attach thrusters to that. How's that?
Yeah, should do the trick.
So you now have, yeah, you've now got thrust in all directions. So if you get in,
Let's give this a quick try then. Dun-dun-dun-dun. Okay.
right. So hitting the Y button will detach your landing gear from the floor. And then you can lift up using A. Oh, your landing gear has reconnected. Let me just make a quick setting change on your landing gear for you to make your life easier.
Oh.
Because at the minute your landing gear is automatically relocking to the floor.
Oh,
It now isn't.
I can't hear you properly, I'm sorry.
That's alright. Right, your landing gear is no longer messing you about. Right, hold still for a second. Let's put some weight back in your ship. At the minute you're empty. Seeing as all of this came out of it, we know it can go back in. There we go, right.
Excuse me. We good?
Right then, Tom, if you step out of the ship for a second, it will just hover there, so don't worry.
Yep.
And come down the side and have a look at the thruster trails coming off of those lift thrust. Can you see how long those thrust trails are?
Yes.
That means that those thrusters are almost at their maximum capacity.
Oh, okay.
The further they are out from the thrust cone, the more thrust they're using or generating. So at the minute, with a not completely full medium cargo container, I mean it's almost full, but yeah. So, and that means you're only bringing back about 30 kilograms
No.
of whatever
So if
material you go and mine, which is not a lot.
No.
So you would be making quite a few trips in this, because it's got quite a small cargo capacity.
Add more thrusters to it then, I suppose.
You definitely will need more lifting thrust for Atmo. In fact, I would almost go as far as to say double it. But I would do it once you've got it locked back down on the floor. Just in case.
What happens if I add one while it's floating?
It shouldn't do anything. It's just if you accidentally delete a block while it's flying, it's going to be much harder to deal with than if it's stationary on the floor.
That's fair.
Ooh, over to the right a bit.
That wasn't needed then.
And you want to tip your nose down. That'll do. Right, lower it a bit. Hit P, hit Y. Arc. There you go, you're locked. And I got you to tip slightly further forward so that you can actually get underneath the tank if you need to.
Oh, okay. That's a good idea.
Deliberately tipped you, just so you can actually place armour underneath it if you wanted to.
Right. Atmospheric thrusters.
In fact, what I'm going to do, I'm going to quickly move the silly thing that I created out the way. Because it may well be that having this right next to what you're doing is generating some extra lag that you don't need.
I'm not going to need the pistons anymore, am I?
Potentially not, no.
get rid of the pistons. Oh.
I'll be back over to assist you in just a moment.
Oh, I made a hole.
Oh dear.
Okay. I've got lots of sideways for lost that now. Let's get back in.
It's alright. Right.
Yeah, it don't like staying up in the air.
Right, okay.
Well, it goes forwards nice and quickly, but it just keeps sinking.
Yep, so more thrust is definitely needed.
Goes forwards nice and quick though.
Well, of course it goes forward really nice. You've got a massive block of thrusters on the back of it.
Only one of them's atmospheric though. Ooh.
Yeah, but the hydrogens work in all environments.
So why do I need
Hydrogen
the
thruster will
atmospheric
work
ones?
because you'll have very limited fuel for the hydrogens.
Oh. Yeah, he's just sinking.
Right, what's your battery meter in the bottom right doing? Is it going red at any point while you're manoeuvring?
Yes.
Right, that means you haven't got enough power generation. Turn your hydrogen engine on, see if that helps.
Which was the hydrogen engine.
You're about to crash.
Is it that one?
Ah, and you've lost your landing gear.
Have I?
Nope.
Oh, it won't go back up.
Looks like a little block 4. Whoa!
Ah! It won't even go up now.
No, I think you are having some power issues. Let me see if I can assist.
I'm gonna try and get back on the thing.
Oh, I cannot assist if you're moving. Okay.
I was gonna try and get it on the thing. I'll let you do your thing. There we go.
What I'm trying to do is give you more power to actually run your thrusters. Right.
They don't have very long tails now. You know what you said about before?
Yeah, no, I think you've got enough thrust now, but I think your problem might be battery life now. So, I've
okay.
given you some more electrical power. See if that helps.
It has made a difference.
Is it spiking
Ooh.
red in the bottom corner?
Yes, very much so.
Right, then you're still having power problems.
Oh yeah, no, it's gone. I've got no control over this at all. Not doing anything.
Yep. Right.
Ooh. Right, I'm getting up.
Right, so that tells us that you're going to need some more battery power. Which, I mean, there's two ways we can deal with this, but I think at this point, I don't think we've got the technology to actually make this viable.
Okay, so scrap this one.
I think we might have to.
Right.
I mean, what I would do, because I know you want to make your bike fly, what I would suggest is we leave this switched off in this creative world,
Yeah.
and we can revisit it, because once we've got uranium and we can put a reactor on this thing,
Yeah.
we can power it much, much more sensibly.
Okay.
So, I think we're going to need a plan B.
Right.
Oh yeah, you did make a hole in the floor.
Did I? Oh, here, yeah.
Not anymore. Evidence is gone. Right. So, I have a silly idea. And I know how you like your silly ideas. We've got a vehicle that we do not use right now.
We did.
And you're looking at it. Or you were.
Well, this thing over here.
Yeah.
Right.
What do you say we make this thing fly?
Can do. Why not? Let's give it a shot. What's the worst that could happen?
Because it's already got some fully charged batteries on it. It's already got an ore detector on it, which we're gonna need. It's already got a nice little solar spine on it. And a gyro, and a little bit of cargo.
Mm.
So, if we just shift it over and chop the wheels off,
Yeah.
I reckon we can get this to become our mining ship.
Okay. Let's do it.
Or do you just want to start from scratch?
I mean, I would say start from scratch, but the problem is I have absolutely no idea
Okay.
where to go with it. So
Well,
I'm happy
would
to
you
be
like-
taught how to.
Okay, would you like me to lead then and you have some design input?
Okay, that sounds good. Sounds perfect.
Wicked. Right, so let us start the traditional way you start building a small grid ship in Space Engineers. Which is, you drop a landing gear on the floor.
Cool.
You then build a stick.
The stick.
Yeah, and it helps if you're not in plane mode. A stick. So that you have some height. That you can get all around your build.
Cool.
Right. Do we want vertical connection or do we want horizontal connection?
Excuse me. Well, considering the way this platform's been designed, it'd probably be better if it was a vertical one. No, horizontal one.
So
This one here.
plugging in here. Cool. So obviously we can redesign the platform if we have to. That's just a representative we're sort of doing this. So we can make it do whichever.
I would imagine the one on coming out of its belly is probably the easiest way, because the belly is the section you don't need to ever run anything off of really, or as much of.
Cool.
So a belly
Okey-doke.
one would be better.
So we will start then. With our connector. And what I can now do is set up our mirror mode. On, enter, set up, done. We now have mirror mode.
Cool.
Because as much as I enjoy building asymmetrical things, they take a lot more thinking, and we need effective rather than fancy right now.
Yeah.
So, from that, I'm going to suggest we go straight into a conveyor junction.
Cool.
And then we're going to need some fuel. So if we... Actually, no. We're going to need cargo and fuel, aren't we?
We are.
So let's make that a little bit easier.
Ooh, what is that one?
That is a medium cargo container.
Ooh. look different, but that's because it's your different skin, isn't it?
It's just because I've painted it yellow.
Alright.
Okay, new plan. Move that cargo container back one. It'll make sense in a second, I promise.
I trust you.
Well, that was your first mistake. Right, so if we put that on there... Oh, come on, there we go. Put those on there. Then... cargo. So that should give us plenty of hydrogen tanks for fuel.
Yep.
And a good amount of cargo in the middle, is what I'm thinking.
Okie dokie.
So that's what I'm thinking there. Now, because we've got these weird little connectors left in the middle, we might actually be able to make use of those. So let's put some cargo junctions on them, and we'll see how we go. I think we'll have that as the back of the ship. So let's build the front out now. So we're going into space.
Yep.
And there is something that space is very much lacking.
Air.
Oxygen tank.
Yeah.
Oxygen tank necessary for this trip. We can then attach to the oxygen tank. Well, actually no, we've got a point up top that would be better for this, because we're also going to need some way of generating some more O2H2.
Right.
So if we add an O2H2 generator onto that.
Yep.
And I kind of fancy a second one, so... There we go. Get some O2 generation going on in here. Right. Are we both going up in this, or is this a one-man ship, do we think?
Well, I mean, it's probably best for me to go with somebody as opposed to on my own.
Very well, possibly, yeah.
Unless you're going to build one as well.
Well, I was thinking I might make, or we might try and make two of these if we're going for something from scratch.
Okay. We'll go for single-seater then.
So we'll put the cockpit there then. And that's plumbed in through the O2 tank.
Cool.
So we're getting our basics in. I'm really tempted to just make this hydrogen only. For everything except up and down. We'll see how this goes. We're going to need some drills now, aren't we? As that is the whole point of this.
Yep.
So, let us... grab one of those. Actually, no, we will keep that as junctions. And we will mount some drills.
Does it need up and down ones as well?
It will need up and down ones as well. I'm just trying to work out the best way of placing them. I'm also checking the ship's going to actually fit down the tunnel it digs.
That's why I was thinking up and down ones.
Well, I was looking left and right first. Yeah, I think we're going to need another pair on the outside of this. And then I think we need to just replicate that one level up. So if we come out of here and here, and go is that going to be enough? No, it needs to go one more up. And then that should tip in. Yep, perfect. There we go. One on there. And one on there. And what we can actually do...
Well, you can see anything like this.
That's what third-person camera's for. There we go.
You can't. Visibility is poor.
Yes, visibility is what you would call slightly lacking. But at the same time, we want to make sure this thing doesn't get stuck in a hole.
Yeah. What about that bit coming off the top?
It is. That's fine. Drills will cut out 2 blocks in all directions.
Oh, okay.
So we're now plenty covered. We're now plenty covered. What we don't have though is anywhere to mount our forward hydrogen thrusters. Because originally I was going to put them on that roll bar in the middle.
Yep.
But you know, drills.
We did need drills.
We do indeed. So if we put our thrusters up here instead. Oh, we're also going to need some batteries on this.
I thought you'd put batteries on it. I thought that's what these things were.
No, those are O2 H2 generators.
Oh.
If we just chuck some batteries on there. And we are going to need, because we don't have access to reactors yet, we should make this a whole lot simpler to do. We are going to need some hydrogen engines. In there. Oh, that's the generator, not the tank. And we can actually take the opportunity to hide some small little emergency hydrogen tanks in there as well while we're at it.
Yay for emergency. I quite like it. You know.
Right.
It's very
I may... Industrial?
What was that series called? Where they're flying through space to try and find a new planet or something, or get back to Earth. Sure had the Cylons in it.
Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, the original Battlestar Galactica as well.
Yep, I can see that. Right, so let's take mirror mode off again. Because we will need an antenna. And we will need ore detector, because we are not going to find much without one of those.
No.
So we'll need those on there. Right. I'm about to put something on here that is... if all goes well, it shouldn't make a difference. But in an absolute emergency, we may be glad that I added this.
Okay. So, problem with that at the moment is it's going to get stuck. You should lay it flat.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I was thinking the first time. Unfortunately, our ship is an awkward dimension across for a solar panel. So it's going to look a bit wonky. Then again, we're sticking a solar panel to a ship, so it's always going to look a bit wonky.
Oh, that looks alright. What's wrong with that?
It's off centre. It bothers me.
Oh yeah, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, don't have one of those.
No, we just put it on in a different way. Let me do what I want to do, game. Sort of.
Why are they different levels?
Because I wanted to have the bar at the same end. Right.
Okay. Bit bizarre, but fair enough.
Yeah, no, it's snap points is the issue.
Right.
The snap point for a solar panel is on its end in a corner.
Right.
So I needed to add that bar in to allow me to attach it properly.
How bizarre.
It is very bizarre. Right. I reckon we can get another medium cargo container on the back of this.
We've still got those engines on here.
Yeah, I know. That is, funnily enough, and just in case we take a little bit of damage, those are now plumbed up through the container as well.
Cool.
Oh, I have just realised I turned symmetry mode off. Because I was messing about with solar panels. Right, and what we can now do, because we only really need those massive thrusters for getting us out of gravity.
Yep.
So what we can do is have those on an on-off switch, so that once we get into space, we can switch to the little thrusters, which are much more fuel efficient.
Cool.
So we won't run out of fuel quite so quickly.
This is definitely going to be a fly upwards one, isn't it?
Oh yeah, this is a stand it on its tail and head for the space.
Point to the stars.
That's exact. Yep. I'm just going to make sure we've got a little bit more directional thrust and some decent braking thrust. Right. Okay, something important we don't have yet is landing gear.
No.
Right, can you check something for me under your landing gear tab? Because I'm trying to build this only with blocks that you've got. What options do you have under landing gear? They're under ship essentials.
Ship essentials. I have landing gear or magnetic plate.
Just standard magnetic plate, yeah?
Yep.
Awesome, that's what I was hoping
I
you would
don't
say.
have large magnetic plate.
Wicked. So, what we're going to do then is we're going to make some landing skids.
Okay.
And I've just noticed somewhere else we can put a thruster. And then, because magnetic plates are really super thin, landing gear.
Okay.
And might want something at the front as well in a second, but I want to give us a bit more lift thrust as well. We are looking a little low on the lift thrust at the moment. That's a bit better. Well, we'll find out if it's a bit better in a second when I give this a thrust test.
Okay.
So that is more or less ready to go. What I'm gonna add on, let me find my Atmo thrusters again. I'm gonna just give us a little bit of atmospheric thrust. Tucked away in there. Oh, actually, we've got those points that I left as well, haven't we? That'll do nicely.
They don't seem to be on.
It's because it's attached to the floor at the minute, so nothing's actually thrusting.
Oh, okay. Because the other ones are glowing and those ones aren't.
Yeah, it's because hydrogen thrusters burn fuel even when they're not actually doing anything useful.
Really?
Really. Yeah, it's not great. Basically, I want to make sure we've got enough atmospheric thrusters that if we're coming in with low fuel, we've got the atmospheric thrusters to slow us down and manoeuvre onto the landing pad.
That makes sense.
So we are going to have some very basic directional atmospheric thrusters. Right, okay, and now it's time to play Let's Mess About with Space Engineers' Lack of Physics Engine. 1, 2, 3. If we do that, can we fit one in there? Those are likely to get toasted. Basically, an engine only damages blocks that are within 3 blocks of it.
Right.
So the fact that I've got our braking atmospheric thrusters hidden inside the top of the ship,
Yeah.
means they'll still work perfectly fine. And then if we make sure that we have... we'll do the same trick down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, so we want them there. Right, 1, 2, 3.
They're all forward ones at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, I wanted to make sure we've got some forward, back, left and right.
Okay.
That's all I was making sure, is we've got all directions covered for those thrusters. Yeah, we've got a decent amount of forward hydrogen, decent amount of left and right, lots of forwards. Only one I'm a little worried about is downward pointing hydrogen. It's the only one I'm a little concerned about. Let's add those 2 in. Had left them blank, but we can fill them in. Of course, the fun game is going to be how quickly does this drain its fuel tank.
Yeah.
So, with that in mind, and seeing that we've got a spot for one, Let's add another O2H2 generator. And that will also give us somewhere for some front magnetic feet. It's not ideal to land on your oxygen generator, but it's only a backup one. We've got 2 on the roof.
Exactly. It's not important.
Right then. Should we give this ugly duckling a try?
Yeah, let's do it.
So, if I jump in the cockpit, you see the stick that we're currently attached to the ground for?
Yep.
Once I've got it in the air, would you mind deleting that for me?
Yep.
There we go, right.
Might do it the angle coin because it'll be easier.
Either or. Either or.
Where on earth am I going?
I don't know, but my Twitch chat is definitely going very slow today, because it's finally told me that... Ooh, Arthur Lyack has followed me, but that was at 9 o'clock, so that was an hour ago. So if you're still here, R4, thank you for the follow. Twitch has only just told me. Thanks, Twitch. There we go. We are airborne. We've got good thrust.
That's mighty twitchy on land.
So yeah, we have thrust. Ah! And this is where Target realises he forgot a fundamental component of anything that flies in this game.
Gyro?
Yep, forgot the gyros. Let's get a couple of gyros back there, and I will, on a spacecraft that's meant for mining, I will always overdo it on the gyros, and spread them out. Because this is going to get bumped around inside all sorts of things. Ah, there we go, that's another important thing that we've just found. Can't have atmospheric thrusters there because they get caught on fire.
No.
That's a no-no.
It's tipping.
It really is. I have no idea why it suddenly started tipping. That's a worry. Right, let me get this on the ground. There we go, it's now on the ground. We'll get rid of those thrusters.
Yes, how one of the jaws is ever slightly further forwards.
Yes, the one on the front of the cockpit will be 1 block further forwards.
Yeah. It's like it has a nose.
It does sort of have a nose, yes. Right, so we need... Why not let me place stuff there? Oh, because we don't have the silly bar of armour on the other side. Well, we do now. So we can still have our 3 Atmos left and right. We just had to be 1 block further backwards to prevent the hydrogen thruster from melting their face.
That's always a bonus.
Now, what that did tell me is we are going to need the side-mounted hydrogen thrusters there. Let's see if we still tip around like a lunatic.
Boom.
That seems far more stable.
Whereas if you get out. Cool.
All good. Right, which means I now know what was happening.
What was happening?
Right, so we had a thruster directly above this hydrogen thruster here.
Yeah.
So technically that hydrogen thruster was thrusting into a block.
Which is making it...
Which is why that side was tipping down, because the physics engine thought it was thrusting into a block. Right. Now for what I call my standard lift tests. So, side thrust is not great. We don't have much... Yeah, we don't have much thrust left in that direction though. Looking at the length of those flames versus the length of those flames.
Yeah.
But that's because we've got a lot of atmospheric thrust at the minute, and to be honest, once we're in space, we don't need a huge amount of sideways thrust.
Yeah.
We just need to make sure that we've got enough thrust in atmosphere. So, what we now need to do... Oh yeah, that actually... No, we've got plenty of upwards thrust. What we need to do now is get this down on the ground. Before I completely land it, let's do a massive quality of life upgrade on this vehicle. No, I don't want to be in mirror mode for this. Because on one side of this thing we're going to mount a camera, and on the other side of this thing we are going to mount a spotlight.
That will help.
So that when we actually come to land this thing and it's inevitably dark...
So we can line up on the thingy properly.
We can line up on the connector properly.
That makes sense.
I occasionally do things like that. It does occasionally happen that I will make a sensible decision. Don't get too used to it though. And do we have... And I think what we're also going to do, because it's a mining ship and it's going to end up in a hole in the ground, I am actually going to attach a backwards pointing camera as well.
That makes sense.
Which will also want some floodlights, because if we're in a hole in the ground, it's not exactly going to be bright down there. There we go.
Is it in the survival kit?
A survival kit is what I would call a nice to have, not an essential. It will cause us a problem if we die up there though, not having one. The problem would be actually fitting it in somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, technically we could. Hold on a second, because this might actually be easier than I think. So if we make sure that none of that's going to fall off for a second. Those are snapped to that. It loses our emergency connection at the back, but we should be able to drop that out. To turn symmetry mode off, otherwise I am never going to get this place the right way around. Right. But we can put one on like that.
Oh, okay.
So we can do that. And if anything, that actually looks a little bit neater.
I quite like that.
From the back. So yeah, we now have a survival kit should we need it.
Cool.
In fact... I'm going to need you to check if you've got another block.
Okay.
Can you go to production and medical?
Yep.
And select the cryo chamber. It's at the 11 o'clock.
I'm gonna go with no, probably not. Because I'm thinking you probably mean medical station, don't you?
No, I'm thinking cryo chamber.
What?
There is a small grid cryo chamber.
I got correct. Oh, I've been kicked.
Oh, that's not good. You're still in the chat.
Yeah, it's been kicked.
Let me
from the game.
re-invite you. Let me re-invite you. Invite scented. Yeah, so what I was trying to work out, Tom, is there is a small grid cryopod, but I can't remember if it's a DLC block or not.
I'll have a look in a second.
The reason I'm trying to work out if you've got the small grid cryopod
I'm back.
is because it would mean we could actually attach the small grid cryopod to the back of this thing. But as I said, I am limiting this build to blocks that you have access to.
Right, so if I select that. Cryo chamber. How do I change the size of it?
We'll just look at the ship we're trying to attach it to. Does it change size?
Doesn't look like it.
It will look very different.
No, it looks exactly the same.
Ah, damn, it is a DLC block then. Okay, that plan's aborted then. Because, just to show you what it would look like... It would look like that.
Looks the same as what I had.
Does it? Okay. Because the large grid cryopod looks like that. I just dropped on the floor.
Hang on.
So give it a try. Yes! Excellent. So now if we do decide it, or more importantly, if we have a slight accident and need to recover both of us in a single craft, we can now do it.
Cool. But I can just stay there on the back then, can't it? It's not the way the camera
It
is.
can indeed. I've just moved the camera up. I actually moved the camera up when we... well, when that was a thing.
Cool.
So...
It's not going to get in the way of those front... No, they're out of the way, aren't they?
No, it's out the way of everything. The only thing it's sort of in the way of is the reversing spotlights, but those will shine through it quite happily.
Cool.
Right, the only thing I'm going to add to this is a tiny little bit more lighting. And what I'm going to add is what I would call situational lighting. Otherwise known as, we're stuck in a hole in the ground, what the heck are we flying into?
Alright, so just things to light up the area.
Yep. Interesting, those offset lights don't work in mirror mode.
Do they not?
Nope, I keep getting an error message when I try and place them.
It could be because you were trying to place them on the solar panels, which aren't mirrored.
No, even on the drills, I get the same error message.
Oh.
Which is very bizarre. So we now have a little bit of situational lighting. And we're going to want some forward lights, aren't we?
Probably help. Unless the camera's like night vision.
No, they're not.
Then, yep.
So we now have some forward floodlights. Of course, for once, it's not dark, so we can't actually see the lights. Right then, let us set up the lights. Let's set these up properly. So, we want to lose a little bit of red out of them. We want to really crank the radius up on these situational lights. Let's fall off. Don't want to pump the intensity too much. There we go. Right, we now have lights. Yeah, it really is far too bright to see the spotlights.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I think we did it. Oh, we now need to load test it.
Oh, okay.
Because we're testing it dry at the minute.
What's the easiest way to
This
load
is
it?
empty.
Just drill
The
it to
easiest
something.
way to load it, I mean that is a way of loading it. What I was going to do is just spawn a couple of 100,000 stone into the thing.
Okay.
Stone, there we go. And if we just start with, I don't know, 100k?
Yeah.
Seems like a good number to me. And it gets a whole 15.6 into the cargo system. Yay! Right, we're going with your plan.
My plan. Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Block tools, drill. What, you really can't see anything? Right, do me a favour and keep an eye on the downward pointing thrusters, and if they start getting stupidly long, warn me. So we don't want to crash this.
No. They are getting longer already.
Okay, in fact, before we go too far, let me take a copy. And we'll chuck a spare over there.
Makes sense.
So if we break this one, we have a backup. Normally I would just take a blueprint, but the chances are with your connection, if I take a blueprint, it will kick you from the game again.
Yeah, probably.
I can feel this thing trying to sink. What are we at cargo-wise? Oh, we are absolutely full.
Really?
Really,
You
we are
nothing.
absolutely rammed.
You drilled nothing.
Backing up. Right, have a look in the inventory and see how much we've collected.
What's the easiest way to get to the inventory?
Connector on the bottom or jump in the cockpit. This thing is absolutely full weight right now.
What? I could barely carry anything.
You say that, but we've got... What have we got? We've got 50, 100... We've got about 160k worth of material in there.
Yeah, but it's done, no drilling.
I know. So what I'm thinking, because we were talking of taking 2 ships up, I'm thinking we take a drill ship, this,
A cargo ship.
and we take a cargo ship it can unload into.
Yeah.
What I'm thinking. I think that might have to be our plan.
Do we just want a ship with lots of big cargo containers on it?
Pretty much, yeah. In fact, ideally, what we actually want is we want the cargo ship to be large grid.
Yeah.
Because a large grid cargo container holds far more stuff.
Have a quick fly in it, see what it's like.
Feel free, we do have a spare, so I don't know if you want the laden or unladen version, but
Laden would be better. How do I change to the camera? If we must set that up yet.
right bumper and up on D-pad.
Out there.
So yeah, have a go with that.
Even on laden, it's not that bad.
No, it's actually quite responsive. My only worry, and we're not going to know this until we test it in survival, is how long that fuel's going to last.
That's quick.
In that direction it is. What we are going to need though is a name. Or do we not name it until it's survived its first trip into orbit?
Oh yeah, don't name it yet. No. I've seen that film. I don't want to be Jack.
Right. Satisfied with your test flight, sir?
Yes, just carefully bring
What it might
back over.
mean... Yeah. If you bring it back into land, I think next week might end up having to be design the cargo buddy.
Yes.
So... I should have set the camera up. You could have had a go with landing on a camera.
That's good. Part of me was like, should I see if I can connect it?
There's not enough room to that connector. There is not enough room around that connector right now. Yeah, just get it on the ground. Because very quickly, if you don't mind running a couple of minutes over, I want to show you the silly thing that I built earlier. There you go, all locked down.
Got him.
And I will grab a blueprint of that once we're finished tonight. Because if I do that while you're in the world, you will probably crash. Right, if we come round here,
There you go.
and I've back round the front.
Okay. That's it. Yep.
And what I'm about to do is paste a copy of this thing in. And then we'll paste another copy of this thing in, because I also want to play.
These two fun.
These are either going to be incredibly good fun and really useful, or these are going to be an incredibly bad idea and we will explode rapidly.
Oh my
Right,
God.
your steering is entirely on your right stick.
Cool.
Your left stick is strafe and backwards and forwards. Okay?
Yep.
What you have essentially got here is a ice skate. This is a hovercraft.
Oh, I like it. Oh, laggy. No, I was lagging.
Yep, I know. But yeah, so let's see
Okay.
let's see what trouble we can get into, shall we?
Oh, I dug into the floor.
Yep, that'll happen.
Cool. Not going that way just yet.
Have you broken it yet?
No.
I've got something smoking somewhere.
Oh, it's got no gyro.
It does have gyro.
Oh, it does. Oh, I got it. They bounce really well.
They really do. Whoa, they occasionally also do very strange things to the physics engine. It doesn't have enough lifting thrust to genuinely fly. They've just got enough lifting thrust to cushion the landing.
Yeah.
I don't know if I get a clip on. Oh, no, broke it, broke it.
Yeah, I'm still good. It works.
It does
Oh,
work.
no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. We're still wrong.
Whee!
No, I don't.
Woohoo!
I'm missing too much engine.
Hey Tom!
Yeah, I'm missing.
Oh, you've lost a stabilizer. Oh, you are in a bad shape.
I'm in a bad shape.
You are in a bad shape there, sir. Yeah, that's Would you like a new one?
Yes, please. My one's broken.
Delete that one then.
That one. Copy grid, cut grid, cut grid. Hey, I figured something out. Right, which was the one that you just spawned? Okay, you're now.
Does that make life easier?
It does.
Right, I'm going to make a slight alteration to them, Tom, before you go shooting off.
Okay.
Oh, I've just realised you won't actually be able to copy these grids, by the way.
No, that's fine. You're adding more thrust. I like.
In both directions.
That makes sense. Ooh, sorry.
And copy, because I want one.
Oh my god, they still move even with the parking brake on.
The parking brake does nothing on these.
It doesn't do anything at all.
Literally nothing, because the wheels are set to 0 friction. Oh, be very careful, because we are now right on the limit of these things' power.
Ooh, scheiße. Oh god. Oh god. Land it, land it, land it. Good. Oh, I'm not good. I'm not good. I'm not good. Turn. I'm fine. I'm fine. Okay. This thing's good fun.
Yeah, this thing is in need of another battery or 3.
Oh shit.
Right, I'm going to head back over towards the... Oh! There goes a bit more wheel. I'm going to head back over towards base.
Ooh.
We do need to start wrapping this up.
I'm not stopping. It's not stopping.
Spin round so your rear engine is pointing in the direction you want to slow down.
Oh! Oh, what did I just break? I broke something. I'm still going. That's fine. I think I broke the floor.
That may also happen.
Yeah, no, I did spin round, and it wasn't enough for us to stop my forward momentum.
I've noticed they have a slight issue with battery power. I.e. they need some more.
Oh, I found the base. Hit my man. Really quickly. Oh, I missed. Stop. Ah, I'm good. I'm hearing I didn't break it this time.
Excellent.
I may have broken the floor. This is far better
Yeah,
than the other bikes. I'm not gonna lie, this is far more fun.
It's definitely entertaining. That's for certain. I think this might need refining.
Yeah, I think some more stopping thrusters. Although I like the idea of not being able to stop. But
I know you do.
possibly an improved sideways.
Oh yeah, the sideways thrust is virtually non-existent. It's 2 thrusters in each direction.
Yeah.
What this does need is more battery power.
Yes.
because yeah, I mean, even sitting at rest, it's got 33% power.
I'm on the hill.
What are you doing? We've got to go follow him,
Oh.
chat.
No. No? Was that sorry?
I just said, well, I've got to follow him. Were you trying to jump it off the hill by any
I
chance?
was trying to find... Ooh. Drifting. Trying to find something with a bit more of a slope to it.
Oh, you can get these things nice and airborne.
Come on, turn. Okay. There's a hole. I flew over the hole. Come on.
Oh wow! I've just realised these things are even more underpowered than I first anticipated.
Man,
Yeah.
I have achieved flight.
You up? Yes. Yeah. And there he goes, chat. He is well and truly ETing it.
Completely not only
Well,
achieved flight. Oh shit.
You said you wanted the bike to fly.
This is awesome. Not gonna lie, this is... Oh, I've got no control in the air. Well,
Of course you haven't. It's not meant to fly. If it makes you feel better though, you're doing pretty well.
come on, go back up, go back up. Because I think it's got enough thrust to keep it in the air.
It shouldn't, but not by a lot. Right then, chat. What we're gonna do is
It
we are
does.
gonna. Oh, does it really? Oh lordy.
It might take me a little while, but I can probably... if I go straight up, it probably won't.
No.
These don't actually have an alternator. But it's got very little in the way of air control.
Yes, correct. It has very little in the way of, well, just control, I think would be a better way of putting it.
Go back up, go back up. Yeah.
Right, Tom,
Yep.
if you come back to base, I have a new one for you to try.
Okay. I'm gonna try and come back to base. Oh.
For those that have just joined the stream, welcome to Insanity Land. I am your host, Target. Tom is my able accomplice.
I'm literally a test pilot. This thing flies, man. This thing flies nicely.
Oh dear.
You just have to learn how to fly it. Alright. Incoming. Incoming. Gently, gently, gently on the rear wheels. Oh, yes! I didn't break anything.
Excellent.
But it did just stop, which was quite nice. Ooh. Right.
Cool. Right. Ditch that one.
Okay. Ooh. Right, I am parked next to...
Yeah, if you come over to where I am,
Where are you?
leave that there and, well, delete that over there. Head past the Ripsaw. Hang a left,
Hang on.
and you should see a couple of beacons about 200 metres away.
Ooh. There! Couple of meters, 200 meters. Okay.
Grab one of these. I haven't checked its battery consumption yet, but it should be better. These are slightly cheaty for our current situation because these have now got 3 nuclear reactors on board.
Okay. Well,
But they have a lot more thrust.
Oh, that didn't work. That didn't work. It just made a bigger hole in the floor. They need the correct thing to launch.
Oh!
There we go.
There's another hole in the floor.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yep. God, they still spike the batteries.
What's that, sorry?
They still power spike the batteries.
Once I'm in the air, it's not too bad. So then I've got about 32 minutes.
Oh no, it's the red bar below that that's the problem.
Yeah, no, now I'm in the air, I haven't seen a red.
Yeah. Same, and I'm climbing rapidly. 700, 800...
Are we going up in space?
900...
Okay.
We won't, we'll run out of thrust. Oh dear. Oh, that broke it. That broke it. It still works though, but it's a little bit broken.
What's that?
My one. I may have landed a little bit heavily. I'm going to see if I can get it back to base.
Apparently I'm descending again.
Yeah. Once you reach a certain height, your atmospheric engines don't work anymore. Surprisingly, this is actually flying quite well on only 3 wheels. And half its thrusters are gone. It's taking some effort to keep it moving, though. Whee! Oh, that was a mistake.
That wasn't a nice landing.
Oh, actually, no, that wasn't too bad. It's lost so many thrusters now. It's actually capable of flight.
Oh, I am not.
How much did you break it?
I've lost my rear engine somehow. The big rear one. But I also lost my front stabiliser in the same accident.
Nice. I mean, if you come back to base, you can see the mess that I made of my one.
I will come back to base, but it's going to take me a little while.
Where have you ended up?
I've broken it.
Do I want to know where you've ended up?
It's broken. Oh dear. I mean, it's still level, but it's... I'm coming back.
It's not happy.
Yeah. Oh, there's the cockpit.
Oh, okay then.
Yeah, I was a long way out. But not too bad. Well, I'm assuming this is where I need to go to, but I can't see the wind tower.
Right, can I get this stuck in a hole? Yes, I can. It will now actually stop moving.
I don't think this is the right one. No, I'm pretty sure this is not the right one.
Are you not? Do you not have your home base GPS turned on, Tom?
I do. I was just getting confused with GPSs.
Oh, okay then. Fair enough. Fair enough. Right, I'm going to paste an undamaged one on the landing pad. Because I think I may... Once I work out the battery problems on this thing... I think I may well be blueprinting this as well. Oh, hiya, Tom.
I'm back.
Cool. If you come around the other side of the mountain, you'll see the state that mine came home in. Oh, actually, now it's dark, you can see the lights on the mining ship as well.
Which your one? Is your one that's the one that's crashed into the side?
Mine's the one down here that's in the hole because I had to wedge it in the mountain to stop it moving around.
Oh, that's alright.
It didn't crash like that. I managed to get it a kilometre or 2 home like that.
I don't have mine.
No, I noticed. I noticed.
Mine got very, very broken on the way back.
Excellent. And yeah, now we can actually see what the light level's like off of the mining ship, and I think it might be bright enough.
I think that might be bright enough.
I mean,
Ooh.
the one over here on the dirt gives us the best idea.
Yeah, that's where I went to.
Has that got its spotlights on? Yeah, that's got its spotlights on as well. So that's with spotlights off. That's with spotlights on.
Those spotlights don't look like they do nothing.
They do actually make a difference if you
Do
look the direction the ship's facing. So that's them off,
Yep.
and that's them on.
They don't make a lot of difference.
No, no, but that might be the difference between you ploughing into an asteroid or not. Because they give you an extra few meters. Let me see if I can boost those. Let's crank the intensity up on those a bit. Let's sort the colour out a bit.
Blue Cross pad hopped into the server. Wow. That was nice.
Oh, hello, Blue Crosspad. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I can assure you I am no relation to Soviet Womble, though I do know who you're talking about. Oh, and thank you for the follow. This is not an open server, this is a private one. And if you go to... Don't worry. Because if I just do... Or if I get... Ah, thank you, mod. Is it going to play ball? Or yeah, there we go. So, this is a series that's been going for the last few weeks, where I have been teaching Tom, who's the other voice that you can hear,
Hello.
how to play Space Engineers. So, we have been putting the VODs up on YouTube for people to have a look at, because if you're trying to learn, it's a lot more useful to be able to do it at your own speed. Yet Tom is having some internet issues this evening. So he isn't, I assure you, he doesn't have a buzzy voice most of the time.
Yeah.
But tonight his internet is not happy with him. So, but we are here every Sunday, and I am here every Wednesday. Well, funnily enough, that's what we're preparing for tonight. So this little mining vehicle we've created is going to be our first space-capable ship. And in fact next Sunday, because you have unfortunately caught us just about to finish. We normally are 8:30 to 10:30 British time on a Sunday, so we've run over a little bit tonight because we were playing with something silly. And next week we're designing a cargo ship to go with this, because this is great for mining, but it can't really carry much. So we now need something to go up with it and carry the cargo for it back down. So that's what we're going to be designing next week. I suggest you go and have a look at some of the previous streams, but we've got a whole little starter base setup around here. Please ignore the collection of random bikes that are here. These aren't all necessarily part of the survival. This is our creative design world. So there's some extra stuff around here at the minute, like these sand skaters that I've thrown together tonight, much to Tom's enjoyment. But anyway,
It was good fun.
unfortunately, yeah, this is we are nearly 20 minutes run over our time, so I know you've got work in the morning. So
Yeah.
yeah, we overdid it a tiny bit, but hey, we were having fun.
Yeah.
I hope streamers had fun. As I said, I will be back with some more creative building on Wednesday at 8 PM British time. And myself and Tom will be back for another round of... Oh lord, he's going up again. Myself and Tom will be back again next Sunday to continue the co-op survival. Blue Cross, if you've got any questions, I have channels in my Discord if you've got any specific questions you need help with, so chuck some stuff around on there. I'm usually around on Discord, you know, most of the working day British time, so I will talk to you when I can. He's run off with the miner, it's not coming back. Anyway, right, we need to end, so so thank you all for coming along. There is one more little shout out I would like to do in the chat, which is some of the other Discords I hang around on.
Oh shit.
Is Nightbot gonna play today? Are you working today, Nightbot? Or you might not be playing today, Nightbot. It's been a bit bad today.
Oh dear. Oh dear, I've had a problem with it.
What's the problem with it? Did I just hear it go bang?
No.
There we go, Nightbot's finally awake.
No.
What did you do? Tom?
Don't worry. It's fine, we've got two.
Tom? What did you do? And how? Oh, you flew it upside down, didn't you?
I may have done a little bit and I broke some stuff.
Yes, you did. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why you always create a backup copy before you go test flying it.
I lost the camera.
You lost a hydrogen tank.
I'm trying to fix it.
Don't, I'll just get the other one out.
It's gone.
We need to wrap this stream up anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yes.
Yeah.
Excellent. In all that chaos, Nightbot did actually finally put the link up for me. So those are some other Discords that you will find me hanging around on. A couple of other really good Twitch streamers, and Dovahkiin, who is another Space Engineers player. He's usually loitering around the stream as well somewhere, but I don't know if he's still with us or not. We are a little bit later than usual. Anyway, catch me in all of those places. Feel free to have a look at the VODs on YouTube. And yeah, join us for episode 13 of this mayhem next week. 13, I believe it is, assuming that I've actually remembered correctly. Next week should be episode 13. So we'll see how well that goes. But yeah, we'll be building a cargo shuttle to go with the mining ship, just to improve our ability to get rare resources from space. So, thank you everyone for coming along. I hope I will see you on Wednesday night. That'll be 8 PM British time. If not, hopefully see you next Sunday. Right, good night everybody.
Bye.